So, the important thing to understand here is that someone decided it would be a good idea to release a dog into a jail cell. No matter where we stand on this matter, I think we can all agree that this was not a good idea. That's the ironic twist. People are calling this abuse, but was it really?
Yes, it was. The dog literally got an injury. And while I do agree that putting the dog in a cell with dangerous individuals is a bad idea, that doesn't make the criminal blameless in any way.
It says here,
to treat a person or an animal with cruelty or violence, especially regularly or repeatedly.
Notice, however, that there is no reference to context here, and violence involving dogs is always contextual. It is important to note that the inmate accused of maliciously punching a dog in the head did not seek the dog out, and he did not punch it in the head. In fact, he slapped the dog away as a reaction to the dog's intrusive behavior. The dog encroached on his limited personal space.
All the dog did was walk up. That's it. Hitting something because it walked up to you does not make it non-abuse, or let alone justifiable. Using your logic, it's not child abuse to hit a kid because they invaded your space. Also, it doesn't matter if he slapped or punched it. What matters is that he hit it so hard that it gave the poor thing an injury.
With this definition in mind, we might say that he responded with force, but we cannot say that it was cruelty. There is no evidence that he got enjoyment out of slapping the dog, and it is very obvious he only put hands on it out of necessity.
Actually, you can just say it's cruel since he didn't care about the dog's well-being, and even then, you don't know if he enjoyed it or not, but considering why he was arrested, he probably did enjoy it.
It certainly wasn't regularly or repeatedly. His use of force was a defensive response. He did not initiate any interaction with this dog. It was rather the other way around. The dog went straight for him. Those who lie and say the dog was greeting him are being deceptive. Dogs aren't human, and this is not only very anthropomorphic, it is dismissive of the fact that many people do not care to be approached by any dog for any reason.
Then why hit it if you don't care? And like I said before, hitting something because it walked up to you is not an excuse. Also, hitting a cat because it walked up to me isn't abusive, but defensive, using your awful logic. Oh, and it's not anthropomorphism when animals are generally capable of greeting people. And saying they're not human is a crappy excuse of denying that fact.
The size, breed, and temperament is irrelevant. One might argue about whether the use of force was excessive or not, but those sorts of conversations only serve to distract from a much more important point. The act of cruelty was subjecting him and others to the presence of a dog against their wishes. After all, people in jail are not likely to be consulted on such matters. Did anybody attempt to discover if any of the people in that holding cell were allergic to dogs, perhaps afraid of them, or averse to them in some way?
Oh, boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin.
Really, Ninja, putting a dog in a cell is cruel for the inmates. If an inmate is allergic or afraid of them, they can ask that they don't want to be around a dog. See, problem solved. Also, if you actually watch the video, you can see that the other inmates didn't mind the dog being there.
Of course not. Remember, the dog encroached on his limited personal space. Put aside all your judgments about a person who, for whatever reason, has landed in jail. Just take...
Why? So everyone forgets you're defending a terrible person.
Now put yourself in this position. Imagine if another person were to encroach upon your space like this. Would you find it acceptable? So, why should we demand that people treat intrusive dogs with kid gloves?
Wow! So you basically support assaulting people because they invaded your space? Well, I guess that kinda explains why you're defending this guy.
People are expected to tolerate a dog's intrusion, its unwanted advances, and its many forms of outward aggression. We are supposed to shut up and allow dogs capable of tearing us apart to bark and rage at us from behind their god-forsaken enclosures when we pass these beasts in residential neighborhoods.
Okay, now you're just projecting your terrible life. The dog was not acting aggressive in any way. All it did was walk up to the guy, like I said multiple times before. You're now just pulling stuff out of your ass.
And now, people are expected to tolerate dogs running right into their faces whilst lying down. They're supposed to permit these vermin to charge right into their personal space, their sleeping area, and the place where they keep their food, and where they are trying to enjoy an activity, such as reading. None of this is acceptable or tolerable. The abuse is the presence of the dogs. Dog behavior is abusive. Dog owners are abusive. Those who react to dogs are not abusive. They are reacting to a form of abuse.
An animal literally walking up to you is not abuse, clown. But the dog walking up in his sleeping area is abu? No, not even close. It's annoyance at worst, and would you look at that, it doesn't fit any definition of abuse. And no, clown, the dog was not vicious or aggressive. You can obviously see that in the video. This shows your logic is beyond crap. Anyway, I'm going to end the video, because the rest of Clown Own's video is him trying to paint the criminal as defenseless, uncornered, despite him being much bigger than the dog. Anyway, goodbye.